whatever. We also have those who don't really need the pain medicine. We know they're dying, they're not having a lot of pain, but that PRN medicine is there so that you as nurses can judge, okay, there's something going on, they need something now, but do they need it all the time? No. So keep in mind, that's why oftentimes there are scheduled meds and PRN meds, or sometimes there's just PRN meds. It just depends on the situation with the patient. And I know when I'm in this facility, I talk to the doctors a lot, the nurses who are taking care of these patients. What do you see and what's going on with them? You know, what do they need? And I think the people that are taking care of them all the time have more to say about that than I do even. You know, I can recommend and I can tell you what, you know, I know it's available, but I think it's really important that we work together on those issues.
I think sometimes it really freaks nurses out. Like, if a patient has had a chronic pain issue throughout their life, and so they've been on narcotics for quite some time, and then you see them coming in with these astronomical doses of morphine or, you know, whatever it may be, and I think it's scary for nurses.
Absolutely.
But as their body grows that tolerance to it, and then you go into this process, I think sometimes nurses just need to hear it is okay.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
we're not just starting this dose out today. This is
We have been working up to this for a long time, absolutely, absolutely. And all the time, not all the time, a lot of times when you get patients in this facility, by the time they are here, they have worked through all that, and they are on those astronomical doses, and you're like, they're here because we can't control it at home anymore. We have to do something to make sure that they're comfortable, because the last thing we want someone to do is to go out of this life miserable and uncomfortable. And that's hard on families. And that's something they just can't usually deal with at home. So God bless you all. Yeah, I know.
around it, and then with all of this opioid crisis and stuff, you know, these
Absolutely.
are two completely different ends of the spectrum things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this opioid addiction, opioid epidemic has nothing to do with how hospice treats.
Right. And what's going on at end of life. Yeah, what's happening to their body. Absolutely. And every case is individual. Every person's, you know, got their own. You hear that a lot maybe with hospice people. It's their journey. This is what they are dealing with. You're not going to find any two the same. Any comments, questions about addiction, that kind of thing? I know you girls. I've worked with most of you here, I think.
I think a lot of times too, like when you do the Ativan and the morphine together, something for like the anxiety and the pain together.
Absolutely.
It so works so well because pain is scary.
That's right.
I think that is like one of the two things that people say they fear the most is dying alone and dying in pain. Is that right?
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. So if you have if you have someone in pain, they're probably anxious because they're in pain, number one. Give them a little bit of Ativan, calm them down, and then that pain medicine actually works better when you can do that too.
I have my
You
dad
got
at
this.
home right now. He's dying of lung cancer, and he's been with me for what, 5-6 weeks or whatever, and he's still doing chemo. So I'm like, yeah, he has zero medical background, and so does his entire family. So trying to be the person who comes in, and you know, he's had chronic pain for many years, and so he already takes certain things, and it's like, I know I'm going to be looked at like this, you know, euthanizing him, but I'm okay with that. I'm the one who has to deal with it, not anybody else. But yeah,
And that's a conversation you'll have with Dad. You know, what do you want your end of life to look like?
right.
Yeah, absolutely. And we try to do that with our patients too. When we first get them on board, it's like, so what's your biggest fear? You know, and what are we not wanting you to, you know, have to deal with as your time approaches? You know, those are hard conversations, but some people have a definite idea of how they want that to look. And most of them just don't want to be in pain. They just want to be comfortable. You'll hear that word all the time. That's what we are. We're comfort. Yeah. God bless you. Yeah, you've got your hands full. And this is something
I'm not even the tip of the iceberg, ladies.
I tell people truly, you know, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. It truly is. But if this is
My
what,
mom helps me a lot. So.
yeah, truly, if you want them there and you want to be the one to help them there, then it'll be the most rewarding thing you ever do as well. So, yeah, awesome. Good for you.
just a side note on that, if you would like any additional resources, and palliative care would be a great concept to introduce because with palliative care you can still be having treatments. So if you need any information, let us know. And sometimes just pulling in other resources kind of gets you off the hook as a family member a little bit. I know my dad was on hospice services, colon cancer, and then metastasis to liver in his spine back in 2010. And when we got palliative care involved, they said, now you can sit back and be the daughter instead of the nurse. Take that nurse hat off. And, that didn't ever completely happen, of course, but, it did give me permission as well. And talking about terminal restlessness also, when we're talking about anxiety and all that. So that was a huge thing that we saw with my dad. And that's something I never want to see again in anybody. And there's definitely medications that can help with that. And my brother and I weren't on the same page, at that time. He was really not fond of the medications, but it just took seeing that terminal restlessness and the pain and said, give that medication. Because again, I love what you said. You don't want anybody to run out of this life on a marathon run. We want them to be comfortable. So there's resources, there's help out there.
Our cancer doctor had asked him one day at an appointment, had said, they were discussing whether he was going to continue treatments or not. And the doctor basically said, it is very reasonable for you to stop, and it is very reasonable for you to continue. This is something that you need to decide. And now I don't, what were we just talking about? Now I'm like on a tangent here.
We were talking about lots of things, terminal restlessness, not being on the same page, palliative care.
And my dad said, I still have some things that I need to take care of, so I guess I better keep taking the treatment so that I can get these things taken care of. And I absolutely love our cancer doctor, it's Dr. Bay. And he said, well, what are some of those things that you need to take care of? And my dad said, oh, just some things. Well, I knew what some of those things were. Not all of them, but I knew a couple of them. And so those things have been taken care of in the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I guess. And I can see a change. So I thought that was so, I don't know if generous is the right word, but of the doctor to be aware.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And permission it's his journey.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of what I was hoping palliative care would kind of say too is is there something else that you're waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
And families are always messy, no matter what family you come from. There are family drama and dynamics and history and all of that I think sometimes those things also cause some of that restlessness.
Absolutely. Yep.
So,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that. I appreciate that. We have one more. Did you want to say something else?
No, I might just talk to her later.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. So we have 5 more minutes of something here, and this is just kind of summarizing it. And then I have a little story I want to end with.
Their life on many levels. Consciously, months before death, unconsciously, in the hours to minutes before death. On many, many levels, they're saying, what have I done? Who have I touched? What has life been about? We're not just addressing the physical. On the emotional level, the person is frightened. All of us are going to be afraid to some degree when it comes time to die. We're entering the unknown. And no matter what our belief system is, we're still going to be frightened to some degree when it comes time to die. We're going to be mentally processing our life with the what have I done, who have I touched. And spiritually, we're on many levels saying, what's real? What's true? What do I believe? What do I believe happens when a person dies? We may not share any of this information at all with those people around us. When a person is hours to minutes before death, they are generally non-responsive. They may be talking, they may be moving, but they don't respond to this world around them. It is a lot easier to talk to someone who's not going to argue back with you. And so this is the time to go in alone and talk to the person that's dying, the person you care or don't care about, because there's no perfect relationship. There's no, it's always been great relationship. And because the person who's dying is processing their life, it helps them and it will help you if you talk to that person and say what's in your heart. Talk about the good times. Talk about the difficult times. Talk about the positive aspects of the relationship. Talk about the negative aspects of the relationship. It will be good and helpful for both of you. What we want to give to that person who's leaving us is our presence, is our love, our care, and our concern. And it isn't necessarily the words that we say. It's our being there. The person who's dying, they're reaching a point where words really don't mean anything. It's that you're there. It's the touch, the holding. It's okay to get in bed with your loved one. It's okay to have the dog on the bed. It is that communal companionship, that presence that means more than anything else in the days to hours to even months before death. We're here for you. We love you. We wish you well on your journey. We will support you in your decisions. All of those are what we can give to the person that's dying. The reality of who we are.
Okay. So that's pretty much the end of I know we need to wrap up by 8:30. Is there anything else, Diane, that you wanted to say about any part of that? The Hard Choices for Loving People, that also is just a good resource. How do you have these conversations? How do you bring it up? So that's a great resource. Again, utilize any of us, even if you're not going to refer to hospice services, you have questions, just utilize this if you have any questions at all. So like I said, my dad was on services in 2010, and it was actually a physician who is also a family friend of ours that talked to my dad. And so we're sitting in the cancer center, and he said, Gary, every time I've seen you come in here, I see you getting weaker and weaker. You were walking on your own when I first met you. Then I saw you transition to a walker, and now you're in a wheelchair. He said, I care too much about you not to have this conversation. And that's how he introduced hospice to us. So again, just speak from your heart, and just that you care about that person, and anything we can do to help along the way as well. We talked about hoping that we could help people for as long as possible. I met with a gentleman and his wife in their home, and he had a glioblastoma. And so gave my hospice spiel, all the services, how we can help. He politely listened and then was ready to dismiss me and said, thank you for your time, but at this time I'm doing just fine. I'm not having any pain. We're getting along just fine. We'll call you when we need you. And I said, okay, that was my cue to leave, and I understood that. But then his wife stopped him and said, but honey, I need this. I need to know that I'm giving you your medications correctly. I need to know that when I'm giving you a shower that you're not going to fall and I'm not going to hurt my back. And she said, and I need the support. And he looked at her and he said, okay, fine. And for her, he signed up for services that day. And he was on our services for 5 months. So I think about if he would have waited to call us when they thought that they needed us, how much differently that could have looked. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you for asking us. And if we can help in any way, any resources, and again, I'll drop these resources off from time to time when I'm down here, and just please call and let us know if we can help. But thank you for all you do and for your partnership, because we can't do this without you. You guys know the patients the best. You're at the bedside, so thank you.